A young man leaves his hometown on a journey to far-off lands and stumbles upon a plot by evil wizards to conquer the world. This is Traysia! Traysia is one of 12 games included in Evercade Cartridge 23, Renovation Collection 1. Traysia was developed for the Sega Mega Drive by Riot and released in Japan in early 1992 as Minato no Traysia, which roughly translates to Traysia of the Port. Like, you know, a place where ships dock to load and unload cargo. Renovation released Traysia for the Sega Genesis in North America late in 1992. This game was only ever released for the Sega Genesis/Mega Drive, and this is a standalone title with no prequels or sequels of any kind. I was very unfamiliar with Traysia, so I had no idea what the game's story was before I began. All I had to go on was the artwork on the game box, and I thought the game's plot would somehow involve fighting dragons in a land named Traysia. But that's not it at all. Looking at the Japanese box art tells a completely different story that's more accurate to the actual game. Before the game starts proper, we're given the premise via the game's intro, but further details are explained in the game's manual and even on the back of the box. Our protagonist, Roy, lives in the port town of Johanna, and despite the fact that he enjoys his life there, he has the urge to go out and travel to lands he's never seen before. His uncle is a traveling merchant, and when the opportunity arises, he decides to go along with his uncle. Before he leaves, he says goodbye to his girlfriend, Traysia, and promises to return one day. The game just then begins with Roy by himself in the Kingdom of Ceylon. And if you haven't read the manual, you might be thinking, where's his uncle? I thought they were traveling together. Initially, you may even think you're starting the game in Roy's hometown of Johanna because there's been no indication that Roy has gone anywhere, and you only find out he's somewhere else when you start talking to people. Well, the game's manual fills in the blanks that the game itself decided not to tell us. Roy does begin traveling with his uncle's caravan, however, when they reach the Kingdom of Ceylon, his uncle tells him that Roy can't continue with them anymore because the places they are going only allows merchants. He's like, see ya back in Johanna, Roy. To me, it sounds kind of weird that his uncle would know Roy can't really accompany them on their journey, but doesn't tell him before the journey starts. I wonder if it's some sort of translation issue and Roy knew the whole time he'd be leaving the caravan at some point. Anyway, the game's story is broken up into 5 different chapters, each with their own little sub-story and different towns to visit, but each sub-story does tie in with the game's main story about evil wizards and their attempts to conquer the world. The game itself is an RPG, and while it does play like most 16-bit RPGs from the time, there are some differences that really stick out. You'll mostly be playing with a party of the same 4 characters throughout the game, and each character will gain experience through battles and level up from time to time, increasing their stats. Each character can be equipped with armor, shields, weapons, magic, and accessories that can be purchased or found throughout the game to improve their stats. However, there is no shared inventory, and each character is limited to carrying 16 items, including their equipment. Visiting each town mostly consists of talking to villagers for information and visiting shops to buy and sell equipment. Hospitals and inns offer a way to heal the party completely, and the game can only be saved at the inns, although it hardly matters here since you're able to use save states with the Evercade. Traveling to and from locations are not done with an overworld map, but rather just through environmental maps that will offer random encounters with monsters and enemies, and it's the same while progressing through dungeons, which will usually offer up a boss or 2 before the chapter ends. The fighting is turn-based, however it's done via an overhead view, and characters must first be placed into position before they're able to attack. Commands for all characters will first be entered, and then all the attacks will play out, and this will continue until the battle is won or lost or fleed. However, if Roy dies in battle, it's an instant game over, and it doesn't even matter if all the other characters are perfectly fine. So I've got a lot of thoughts on this game, and it's mostly not positive. However, there are a couple things I did like about the game. I found that once the game gets started, the story is pretty straightforward for the most part, although it does offer some interesting twists here and there. The main villain of the game is interesting in his own right, from how he's revealed to how he's involved with each chapter of the game. One last positive thing about the game is that even though there are random encounters, they really don't happen that frequently. On occasion, I was even able to traverse a whole screen without a random encounter. But that's everything positive I can think of about this game. I've got a laundry list of issues with it. I'll start out by saying that even though the game's story was easy to follow, it's certainly not because of the game's visuals. And it's not like I'm saying the game looks bad, it's just that simple details are missing that would enhance the game immensely. The biggest example of this that comes to mind is that at one point of the game, you're talking to a town's mayor, and this dude comes running in saying, "Mayor, the magic school is burning!" And he's like, "Holy crap, we gotta check this out!" The screen fades out, and when it comes back in, he hasn't gone anywhere. But that's not why I'm bringing this up. You see, when you do go to check the magic school, it looks fine, like it always does. The guy that wanders around outside doesn't even act like there's a problem. So you go inside and talk to the first guy you see, and he's like, "Holy crap, there's a fire! This building is done for!" You're teleported back outside and the building is just obliterated. My question is, why couldn't they have shown some flames or something on the building to show it was on fire? Instead, we just have to pretend. It's okay though, because if you leave the screen using the staircase just above the school and then come back, the building is just instantly back to normal anyway. There's a lot of little oddities like this, and later in the video I'll talk about a couple that you can use to really take advantage of this game. Another thing that's kind of annoying has to do with the battles in the game. Like I mentioned, you first have to move the characters into position before they can attack. However, they will always take a specific path to where you need them to go, and if there's something blocking their way, they will just instantly stop. They won't even try to figure a way to get around. For example, you'd like your character to attack an enemy that happens to be really close by, and there's an open path to the enemy. The character decides that he's going to take a different route and attack from a different angle, but there happens to be somebody else standing in the way. Well, he just will stop at that point, and it'll completely waste that character's turn. So instead, you're going to have to waste a turn manually moving them somewhere else before the next turn in which they can attack. That's just a really odd thing that you have to keep in mind, and it can account for a lot of wasted turns in a game, and overall it can be pretty annoying. Another thing I found annoying was navigating the menus, because it's kind of easy to lose your place with what you're doing. It's complicated further by the fact that each character gets their own separate identical version of the same menu. Combine that with the fact that you can only buy one item at a time in stores, and it can take quite a long time to sell your old equipment and buy and equip the new equipment. And you simply can't skip the selling of your old equipment, even if you've got a lot of money, because each character can only carry 16 items, including mandatory items the game won't let you get rid of, making the selling and dropping of the old equipment necessary to make sure your characters have enough space in their inventory for the new equipment, which you then have to go into each character's separate menu and equip every item one at a time. Speaking of equipment, you'll need a separate guide just for that, because certain items can only be equipped to certain characters, but the game doesn't tell you who can be equipped with what. And this is probably the biggest issue I have with this game: the lack of information the game provides about what you're buying or picking up. Even the game's original manual doesn't really tell you anything other than what type of weapons each character can wield, and then it only half-heartedly lists only some of the sword-type weapons in the game. And they really didn't even care about doing that. I mean, that's why among the list you'll find the broadsword, and also the river sword, which doesn't even exist in the game. They probably meant the ripper sword. And what in the hell is Shamsha supposed to be? The game just assumes that you'll know based on its name what type of weapon it is. But do a lot of people know that a salamander is a type of crossbow? Figuring out who can equip what armors and shields is even worse, and without any type of guide, the only way to know is to buy the item and see who the game lets you equip it to. But this is only half the issue with the equipment. The game or the manual also never tells you the stats of the equipment, nor does it say if it's better or worse than what you've already got equipped. The only way to know without a guide is to navigate to your character's stat page, make a note of the values, swap out the equipment, and recheck the stat page to see if they've improved or not. It's not just the equipment though either. The game doesn't tell you what any of the items do, even after you use them. If it's an item that heals you, you would just have to notice that your health went up when you used it. The same goes for magic. Not only does it not tell you what each of the spells do, it doesn't even tell you how many magic points are necessary to perform the spell. From my playthrough experience though, magic sucks anyway. Every magic attack I tried either missed or did far weaker damage than if I just physically attacked. Hell, I don't even think I ran across any enemies that used magic attacks on me either. They know it sucks too. I could probably keep going on and on and on like this, but I'm pretty sure all the annoyances and oddities I had with this game aren't as big as the ones I've just mentioned. Although the game's story is okay overall, the way the game is designed is very confusing and it doesn't relay important information to you. It almost ensures that you'll need to acquire a strategy guide just to figure out things like what any of the items in the game do. And there were certain items I never figured out if they had a purpose or not, even with the strategy guide. So if we look at our rankings for the games in the Renovation Collection, I'm going to take Traysia, and I initially wanted to put it up on C because it's not like I hated the game. However, after going through all the problems this game had, I think I've got to put it on tier D. I can understand in some instances in a game like this, you'd have to look up some things in the manual or something like that, but the fact that the game just doesn't tell you anything and the game's manual doesn't help you either, I've really got to knock it down a notch for that. So here we are with our list of all the games on the Evercade ranked, and I've got to take Traysia here and find a spot on tier D for it. Now I did like this better than Beast Wrestler, so it's got to go above Beast Wrestler at some point, so let's figure this out. I think I'm going to put it here. I think I'm going to put it right above Treasure Island Dizzy and right under Super Gold 2. Alright, I didn't mention it before, but the battles in this game are incredibly easy if you understand the way equipment works. Every character in your party can equip one weapon, one piece of armor, and one shield. Now I don't know if the developers of the game intended this, but you can equip as many accessories as your character can hold. This is basically anything that provides a defense boost without being a shield or armor. These are things like ribbons, hats, and sticks. Hats and ribbons can only be equipped by certain characters, but anybody can equip sticks. At the start of the game, the cheapest available stick is the Power Stick, and each one provides an additional 10 defense points. So if you can grind a little bit for money, you can buy each character like at least 6 Power Sticks to boost their defense points by 60. There is one character that can wear flower hats, which are available in the beginning of the game. And not only are these cheaper, but they provide 35 defense points each. Now, it may seem odd, but you can equip as many hats to this character as you like. And with 6 flower hats equipped, that's an additional 210 defense points. Early in the game, and for quite a while after that, no enemy in the game will be able to hit you for damage. Throughout the game, if you keep upgrading to stronger and stronger sticks, no enemy will be able to damage your characters for the entire game. And that includes the end boss. The strongest of the sticks is the Ghost Stick, and that offers up 100 additional defense points for each one equipped. Your characters will max out at a total of 999 defense points, and at the point of the game the Ghost Sticks become available, it only takes 6 or 7 of them to each character to max out everybody's defense points, making your entire party completely invincible for the rest of the game. But you may ask, where am I going to get the money for all those sticks? Well, you will earn money naturally throughout the game, but if you're short on what you need, you could always grind random encounters for a bit for some extra money, or if you happen to be in Chapter 3, the Town of Adventures, you could enter the Coliseum in the Town of Swordmen and repeat the challenges for the prize money, and even at the hardest level, you'll be able to equip enough items to prevent taking any damage. However, also in the Town of Adventures, there's a glitch that can be exploited to earn a lot of money really quickly in the Town of Thieves. There's a building in the center of that town that contains the Cave of Mazes. Talk to the guy blocking the entrance and he'll explain that if you enter the cave and come back with a certain item, you'll win a large prize. He doesn't mention it, but the item you're looking for is a golden cross. If you enter the cave and find it, and of course it's hidden behind a false wall, and then return to the entrance and talk to the guy again, you'll win a prize of 5,800 gold. The glitch is that if you talk to him again, he'll repeat the dialogue and give you the prize again. He'll give you the prize again and again and again every time you talk to him until you get tired of it. I actually just used autofire on my controller and walked away for a while. When I came back, I had over 5 million gold, which is far more than what's needed to buy everything in the entire game. You'll actually only need a few 100,000 to buy everything you'll ever want for the rest of the game at that point. It's also very important to note that as soon as you leave that building, the glitch will end and you'll get no more free money. So make sure you get all the money you want before moving on if you choose to exploit this glitch. And that'll wrap it up for Traysia. Next time we'll be looking at Valis from the same cartridge, Renovation Collection 1.